The champagne flute shattered in my grip, tiny shards embedding into my palm like accusations I couldn't voice. Blood welled up, hot and sticky, mixing with the fizzing liquid that spilled across the pristine white tablecloth. Around me, the laughter swelled, sharp, mocking peals from lips painted in designer shades, eyes glittering under the chandelier's diamond light. My ex-boyfriend Marcus stood at the center of it all. His tuxedo tailored to perfection, arms slung around his bride-to-be's waist. "Look at her," he slurred, his voice carrying over the string quartet's melody. "Still driving that beat-up Honda, scraping by on a teacher's salary. Simple life, right, Elena? No wonder you couldn't keep up." The room blurred as fury ignited in my chest, a wildfire scorching through denial and straight into rage. I hadn't come to his wedding rehearsal dinner to beg for scraps of nostalgia. I'd been invited as a gesture of goodwill, or so the embossed card had claimed. But here, in this opulent ballroom overlooking the Manhattan skyline, with his rich friends, hedge fund wolves and socialite vultures, circling like they smelled weakness, Marcus had turned me into the punchline. My simple life. The one I'd built after he left me for her. For this glittering cage of excess. Humiliation burned hotter than the blood trickling down my fingers. I forced a smile, tasting bile, as the waiter rushed over with napkins and apologies that weren't his to give. That night, alone in my cramped Brooklyn apartment, the walls closing in like judgmental spectators, I paced the creaky hardwood floors. The cut on my hand throbbed, a rhythmic reminder of the evening's wound. Heartbreak had faded years ago. Marcus had dumped me via text, citing my lack of ambition, as if my passion for teaching inner-city kids was a flaw. But this public dissection, reducing me to a caricature of failure while he paraded his success. Resentment coiled in my gut, tight and venomous. I poured a glass of cheap Merlot, the kind he used to sneer at, and stared at my reflection in the window. My dark curls framed a face etched with exhaustion, eyes shadowed by doubt. Was I really going to let this slide? Fantasies flickered, slashing his tires, keying his Porsche, screaming truths into the void of his perfect life. But no, revenge needed to be sharper, colder. Something that would make him feel the hollowness I'd carried for too long. Sleep evaded me, replaced by a whirlwind of inner turmoil. Guilt nipped at the edges. Had I provoked him somehow, showing up in my thrift store dress amid their couture? No, that was his poison talking, the way he'd always diminished me to elevate himself. Obsession took root as I scrolled through his social media, each post a dagger. Vacations in the Maldives, her diamond ring catching the sun, captions dripping with false humility. "Blessed," he wrote. "Blessed." While I graded papers until dawn, fighting for every penny. The moral conflict gnawed. Revenge would make me no better than him, a petty shadow. But justice wasn't that different. I imagined his face crumpling, his empire cracking. Doubt whispered, could I even pull it off? I wasn't ruthless. I was Elena, the girl who cried at stray cats and believed in second chances. Yet, as dawn bled through the curtains, resolve hardened like ice. I would plan. Quietly. Strategically. The next morning, the city buzzed with indifferent energy. Horns blaring, coffee steam curling in the chill October air. I called in sick to work, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. First step, research. Marcus's wealth wasn't inherited. It was built on his tech startup, a fintech app that promised financial freedom, but skimmed fees from the desperate. I'd helped him brainstorm it back in college, late nights fueled by ramen and dreams. Now it was valued at millions, and he acted like he'd conjured it alone. I dug into public records at the library, the fluorescent lights humming overhead, pages rustling like conspiratorial whispers. His company had whispers of shady dealings. Offshore accounts, perhaps? Nothing concrete, but enough to spark ideas. My mind raced. Expose him. But how without backlash? At a corner cafe, the aroma of espresso grounding me, I overheard a conversation that felt like fate. Two suits discussing cyber vulnerabilities, one mentioning a hacker friend who'd uncovered embezzlement for a client. My pulse quickened. Hacking. No, that was illegal, dangerous. Moral gray area expanding. But the seed planted. I texted an old college acquaintance, Liam, who'd gone into cybersecurity. Hey, long time. Coffee. Casual, non-committal. As I waited for his reply, guilt resurfaced, dragging others in. What if it blew up? Heartbreak echoed Marcus's voice. You're too small town for this world. Anger shoved doubt aside. This wasn't just for me. It was for every overlooked soul he'd trampled. Liam met me at a dimly lit bar that evening, the clink of glasses and murmur of patrons masking our words. He was broader now, tattoos peeking from his sleeves, eyes sharp with the cynicism of his trade. Elena, you look intense. I laughed it off, ordering whiskey to steady my nerves. Conversation flowed naturally at first, reminiscing about dorm pranks, his divorce. Then subtly I steered. Ever deal with corporate fraud? Like hypothetically, if someone wanted to check a company's books. He leaned in, voice low. Hypothetically. It's risky. But yeah, I've seen red flags in fintech. Why? I hesitated, the weight of confession heavy. Personal reasons. An ex. His brow furrowed, a mix of concern and intrigue. Marcus. That asshole. Tell me more. As I spilled, edited of course, the story, Liam's face darkened. Turns out Marcus had screwed him over too, poaching a client years back. Motivation aligned. I can poke around, he said, sipping his drink. Discreetly. No promises. Relief washed over me, laced with fear. Was this obsession? Or empowerment? We parted with a hug. His cologne lingering like a pact sealed. Back home I mapped it out in a notebook, pages filled with frantic scrawls. Timelines, risks, contingencies. Inner conflict raged. What if I got caught? Prison. Ruining lives. But resentment won. He'd mocked my simple life. But simplicity had taught me patience, the slow grind of building from nothing. Days blurred into a haze of quiet calculation. I attended the wedding invitations, periphery events, brunches, fittings, smiling through gritted teeth. Marcus's fiancée, Sophia, was a porcelain doll with a trust fund smile, oblivious or complicit. At a bridal shower, amid pastel balloons and giggling guests, she pulled me aside. I'm glad you're here, Elena. Marcus says you were important once. Her tone dripped pity, igniting fresh humiliation. Important. I echoed, voice saccharine. Like a stepping stone. She blinked, flustered. Subtle jab testing waters. Inside, fantasies swirled. Her discovering his lies, the wedding imploding. Doubt crept. Was she innocent? Layered motives. Perhaps she knew, enabled him. Liam's first update came via encrypted app. Found discrepancies. Offshore transfers. Not illegal but shady. Need more time. Suspense built, each day a taut wire. I volunteered at school, distracting myself with kids' laughter, their unscarred optimism contrasting my brewing storm. Guilt intensified, using my pain to justify harm. But cold resolve pushed, poetic justice. He'd humiliated me publicly. I'd dismantle him privately. The wedding eve arrived, the air thick with autumn rain pattering against windows. At the rehearsal, Marcus cornered me in the church vestibule, the scent of polished wood and lilies cloying. Didn't expect you to show. He smirked, breath minty with gin. Thought you'd bail after last night. Rage simmered, but I played coy. Why? Afraid I'll steal the show. His laugh was forced, eyes flicking with unease. Hidden motive. Did he suspect? Tension coiled as we practiced vows. His hand on hers, a mockery of what we'd once shared. My mind raced. Tomorrow the climax. But revenge. Not yet. Slow burn. That night, alone in a hotel room paid for by pity invite, I stared at the ceiling, heartbeat echoing like a countdown. Obsession gripped. Visions of his downfall, my triumph. Moral conflict peaked. Destroy him or forgive. Forgiveness felt like surrender. Resolve crystallized. I'd proceed. But with a twist, unforeseen even to me. The wedding dawn broke with deceptive serenity, sunlight filtering through stained glass, casting rainbow shards across the pews. I slipped into the back row, dress modest amid the sea of silks and suits, my bandaged hand a secret talisman. The organ swelled, a dramatic overture to the farce. Marcus stood at the altar, groomed to godlike perfection, but I saw the cracks, sweat beading on his brow, a nervous tick in his jaw. Sophia glided down the aisle, veil trailing like a ghost of innocence. Vows exchanged, rings slid on with mechanical precision. "I do," he said, voice steady but eyes darting. To me. Paranoia or premonition? Reception followed at a sprawling estate, manicured lawns rolling to the horizon, tents billowing like sails in the breeze. Champagne flowed, toasts rang out, flattery laced with envy. I mingled peripherally, eavesdropping on whispers. Marcus's app is booming. Sophia's family invested big. My phone buzzed. Liam. Got it. Embezzlement proof. Sending to authorities anonymously. Heart pounded, a drum of impending doom. But wait, twist the knife. I replied. Not yet. Personal delivery. As the band struck up a waltz, Marcus approached, extending a hand. Dance. For old times. His smile predatory, friends watching like hawks. I accepted, palm pressing into his, feeling the clamminess. Bodies swayed to the melody, strings vibrating through the air. You look good, Elena, he murmured, breath hot on my ear. Miss the old days. Manipulation pure. Rage bubbled. The days you mocked. No. He chuckled low. Come on, it was a joke. You're over it. Suppressed fury ignited. Am I? Our feet moved in sync, a tense tango of unspoken threats. Pulling away post-dance, I retreated to the garden, dew-kissed roses brushing my skin, the distant laughter a mocking chorus. Inner turmoil peaked. Execute now? Guilt clawed, Sophia collateral. But her earlier pity replayed, fueling resentment. Phone in hand, I reviewed Liam's files. Emails, transfers, siphoning funds from investors. Enough to crumble his empire. Obsession morphed to cold calculation. I'd leak it during the toast, project it somehow. No subtler. Hack the AV system. Liam had taught me basics. Back inside, heat from bodies and lights oppressive, I cornered the tech guy, flirting lightly. Mind if I plug in a slideshow? Surprise for the groom. He shrugged, distracted. Minutes later, as the best man droned on, I hit play from my laptop hidden behind speakers. Screen flickered. First, wedding photos. Then, seamlessly documents. Gasps rippled. Marcus's face drained of color as embezzlement evidence scrolled. Offshore accounts. Falsified reports. Chaos erupted. Murmurs to shouts, Sophia's wail piercing. He lunged toward the stage, eyes wild. Turn it off. But too late. Investors dialed lawyers. Friends distanced like rats fleeing. I slipped through the crowd, pulse thundering, a ghost in the melee. Outside, rain began, fat drops splattering leaves. Triumph surged, laced with guilt. Had I gone too far? His ruin my doing. But the twist came swift, unforeseen. As I reached my car, tires slashing gravel, my phone rang. Unknown number. Elena. It's Sophia. Voice shattered. I knew. About the fraud. Helped cover it. But you. You exposed us both. Chuck froze me. What? She laughed bitterly. Revenge. He cheated on me too, with your replacement. We were in it together. Now we're done. Blick. Poetic justice twisted. My vengeance ensnared an accomplice, not innocent. Driving into the storm, wipers slashing, I grappled with consequences. Heartbreak resolved, but obsessions cost. Moral gray deepened. Victor or villain? The road ahead blurred, much like my soul. Simple life. Perhaps, but now etched with complexity's scars.